Before I answer Dr. Ajit's questions, I want to spend 2 minutes on the technology sector because you cannot complete an event in Hyderabad without talking about IT industry. So this is from Sure Technologies, one of TCS customers, and Sure has a development center in Hyderabad. This involves extremely engineering work on embedded systems. So this is so if you look at the technology sector last year, FY22, FY22 was very monumental for Indian IT industry because first time Indian IT industry crossed $200 billion. To be specific, $227 billion, representing 16% growth from previous year. That too working remotely. And $220 billion represents 9% of country's GDP. And if you look at this whole conference is about the talent development, right? Let us look at the talent. Today, Indian IT industry employs 5 million direct employees like me. 5 million. And the beauty of IT sector is one direct employment creates 4 indirect employment in ancillary sectors like security, housekeeping, and so on. So the Indian IT industry, besides 5 million direct employment, it provides 20 million indirect employment. So I often say in Hyderabad, getting a household helper is very tough because that industry has the highest attrition because that is because of the IT industry. And I see a lot of women colleagues here. Out of 5 million, 38% are women employees. And recently, 2 weeks ago, Telangana government announced the IT industry performance for previous year. Even Telangana delivered 1.8 lakh crores of the industry output, which represents 26% of growth from last year. And in our own Hyderabad, I don't know how many of you know, the IT industry employs 7.7 lakh direct employees. 7.7 lakh. So what I want to convey is that India is one of the greatest talent hubs. We should never forget that. If Indian talent is bad, IT industry would not have done so well. Right? There were gaps. In fact, I should not use gaps. Like in computer science, we used to call programming in small versus programming in large. There is difference in the scale. So there were gaps, there are gaps, and there will be gaps. And as Ajit mentioned, the industry itself, academia itself, and industry academia together have to keep on taking the focused interventions. See, somebody said lifelong learning, right? It's not a one-day job. That interventions have to continue, right? So I'll mention 2-3 interventions which Tata has been doing. One of the major challenges for academic community here, I'm sure all the professors will agree, the lack of PhDs. So what TCS has done in 2010 in Hyderabad itself, we announced that TCS is going to fund 500 PhDs at that time, and the program is still continuing. With nothing is expected in return from academia. Of course, there is a stringent process for the evaluation, and as part of that, besides the stipend being paid by TCS, the faculty also gets an opportunity to spend their time as part of the TCS research labs. And somebody mentioned about faculty visiting industry campuses. And let me tell you, IIIT Hyderabad is one of the biggest beneficiaries of this program. In fact, Professor Pijan ensured that more than 20 professors got benefit from this program. So that is number one. Then second is TCS also funded Mr. Kohli Center on Intelligent Systems on IIIT Hyderabad. The advantage is we are opposite to each other. Okay, so that is a definitely benefit. And third is one of the thrust areas in NEP is on the internships. Professor Ram also mentioned. So what we have done, we started something called the remote internship program, right? So earlier, when you say internship, before pandemic, the student has to come to the campus. And India, you know, right? Most of the universities, mostly, the BTECs have only 3 to 4 weeks program, or 2 to 3 weeks. And 2 to 3 weeks, you really cannot achieve anything because the guy comes here, he takes 1 week to settle, 1 week to go. Only MTechs and MCAs have a separate semester for 6 to 8 months. So this is not a scalable model. And we prefer, of course, to take MTechs and MCAs. So what we have done, why the student has to come to the campus? Why can't student remain in the campus, in the college? And we start this program either in third year, second semester, or fourth year, first semester. Then we look at only 2-3 subjects which are of very, very relevant for industry or TCS. The subject can be computer networks, subject can be artificial intelligence and machine learning. And again, we don't touch the curriculum because here there is no issue with curriculum in most of the cases. Even if you want, you can copy from IIT Hyderabad. So what we do is we train the faculty on how that subject should be taught with more emphasis on pragmatism. We focus on the lab assignments and we change them which are of relevant for the industry. That is one. And second is, we also train the faculty with a broader objective of increasing academic excellence in that college. Right? Then third is, the project definition, most of the times, colleges get difficulty in defining the project. So we help them to define the project in these areas. And the project is guided by 2 in a box, one faculty and one expert from TCS. And this is very, very successful. We are able to place the students as soon as they join TCS. Right? So these are some of the interventions. But these kind of programs requires very high commitment both from the company and from the college. For example, we take many from KLU, absolutely top notch. So there is absolutely no issue with the gaps or whatever you want to call it, and these interventions have to continue. And of course, coming to the profit, we also start something called Tata Group's Affirmative Action Program. So we train once they finish the BTech degree on programming as well as some other soft skills to increase their employability. For example, if you go to college like JNU, Jagityala, the remote places, they need some help. So that's what I want to say.